Solving multi-step equations. And when we say multi-step equations, that means that we have more than one step in order to solve it. So let's see what we have here. Here we have a parentheses and we have a 2 outside the parentheses. Whenever you have a number outside the parentheses with no operation written in between the number and the parentheses, we say that it's being multiplied. So we have 2 times the quantity that's inside the parentheses. And just like PEMDAS, the order of operations, we do parentheses first before we can solve this equation. And remember I said in class that this number outside of the parentheses is the mom. And the mom distributes to each one of her children. These are her children in here, the X and the 3. And she distributes to each one of her children the same amount. So we will have 2 distributed to the X and also 2 distributed to the 3 in multiplication. So 2 times X is 2X. And when we multiply 2 times that second term, this is what I want you to do. This plus 3, that means positive 3. So 2 times positive 3, that equals a plus 6. Okay? And equals 10. And look at what we ended up with. We ended up with a 2-step equation. So you know what to do here. You can do your do-undo table if you need to. Some students do not need to do this table. They will usually just say, well, I'm going to subtract 6 and then I'll divide by 2. But if this table helps you, I encourage you to use it. It keeps everything organized. Also, before we continue, make sure to always distribute to all the terms inside. A lot of students will make the mistake of multiplying 2 times X and forget to multiply 2 times the other term. Okay? So now we do the do-undo table. And to fill out this table, remember that we look at the variable. Here's the variable. And I ask, what are we doing to the variable? Well, there's a 2 next to it, so we're multiplying the variable by 2. That's the first thing that's going on with the variable. We're multiplying it by 2. And the next thing that's going on is we're adding 6. And now in the undo column, we switch. We write the 6 as the first step and the 2 as the second step. And if we're multiplying by 2 in the undo table, to undo the multiplication, we divide by 2. And if we're adding 6 to undo the addition, we subtract 6. So now we pay attention to this column only. And the first thing it tells us to do is subtract 6 from each side. So I'm going to do that. Minus 6 equals minus 6. And remember, we do it to both sides of the equal sign. Remember that river. So here we have 2x, 6 minus 6, that becomes 0, equals 10 minus 6, which is 4. And the next thing we do is we divide by 2. So divide by 2 both sides of the equal sign. 2 divided by 2 is 1x, equals to 4 divided by 2, which is 2. And you're done. And you can always take this value and plug it in the original equation to check if this value makes this equation true. So I'm going to do a check right here to the side. Let's use purple. And I'm going to write 2 times x plus 3 equals 10. And what we do is we plug in that x. X equals 2, so 2 plus 3 equals 10. And then 2, remember PEMDAS, the order of operations, we do parentheses first. So 3 plus 2 is 5. And 2 times 5 is 10 equals 10, and it checks out. Excellent. For our second example, using the distributive property, here we have 5 times h minus 4. Again, this is the mom, and she will distribute to each one of her children equally. Remember the equal sign, okay? So let's do that. 5 times h, 5h. And when we multiply by this 4, keep in mind that we are multiplying by negative 4. So 5 times negative 4, that becomes negative 20, equals 8. And we end up with a two-step equation. So let's do our table, do, undo. What is happening to the variable? Well, the first thing is we're multiplying it by 4. So I write that on my table. And the second thing is we're subtracting 20. So I switch these numbers. 20 goes first, 5 goes last. 20 was being subtracted, so to undo subtraction, I'm going to add 20. 5 was being multiplied, so to undo that multiplication, I'm going to divide by 5. And now I do what this column tells me. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add 20 to each side. Plus 20, plus 20. On this side, I'm left with 5h. 20 minus 20 is 0, equals 28. The next thing we have to do here, and I'm going to continue here to the side because I ran out of space. 5h equals 28. My second step is divide by 5. So I'm going to divide by 5 on each side. 5 divided by 5 is 1h equals, this is 1h, but we never write 1h when there's just 1h. 1h is the same thing as just saying h. h equals 25 over 8. And you can leave your answer as an improper fraction, or you can also write it as a mixed number, which is 3 1/8. They are equivalent answers.